You ever notice how some brands, the really big ones, they kind of just stick with you? They're not just selling you something.
Hmm.
It's like they build this whole world around themselves. Think Red Bull maybe, or like the whole Harry Potter phenomenon. It feels like the secret isn't just the product.
Not at all.
It's a community they build, right? A
Ah.
community that basically does the selling for them.
That's a huge part of it, yeah.
So yeah, today we're going to dive deep into exactly that. This idea of community-driven entrepreneurship. We're going to unpack this really interesting framework from a business consultant, Ari Masudi. He calls it the N.A.M.E framework.
Yeah, N.A.M.E.
Yeah, N.A.M.E. And it's supposed to be this blueprint for, well, anyone really. Like if you're a startup founder trying to get noticed, or maybe a marketing pro wading through all the noise.
Or even an investor looking for what actually works long term.
Exactly. It's about understanding why community is like the new currency and how you can actually use that power. Because, I mean, let's be honest, we're just drowning in marketing messages today. Something like, what, 10,000 a day?
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. So traditional advertising, it just feels like shouting into the wind, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It really does. And that's kind of where the power of community really shines. You know, while old school ads are kind of fading, the data on community-driven brands is, well, it's pretty compelling.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
We're seeing studies showing things like 5 times higher customer lifetime value.
Wow. 5 times.
Yeah. And 3 times better retention rate. It's huge compared to just, pushing product.
Okay, that's significant.
It really is. And the real difference here, I think, is how these brands change their focus. It's not just push the product. It's about building this loyal group, people who want to be part of the story. So this deep dive, it's really about showing you the strategies that separate the real community builders from the, let's say, product pusher.
Got it. Okay, so this N.A.M.E framework from Ari Masudi, he calls it a secret weapon, even psychological warfare for your audience, and that sounds intense.
It does sound intense, yeah. And that's a great point. How does that fit with building, connection and community?
Right.
Well, what's really interesting, and I think it's key for anyone listening, founders, marketers, investors, is that this framework, it's a big departure. It's not your standard branding playbook. Forget the glossy ads for a second. This is more organic, more intimate.
Okay.
So the psychological warfare bit, it's not about tricking people. It's more about tapping into those deep human needs we all have for stories, for belonging, for connection, making the brand feel real, not manufactured.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So let's get into it. The N.N.A.E. You said narration.
Right. Narration.
Narrate, and their story that never ends. So it's not just one story. It's about having like multiple stories to build up the brand's myth.
Exactly. Think about Red Bull again.
Yeah.
They didn't get huge, talking about, taurine and caffeine levels.
Yeah.
Their whole legend is built on story. Like, apparently they got rejected 943 times.
Yep.
Or that whole mysterious Austrian ski instructor origin story. Each story adds another layer.
Gives people something to talk about.
Totally. And it taps into something really important for anyone building a brand today. People don't really connect with like polished perfection. They connect with struggle. They connect with the comeback story.
Right, like Airbnb, they have tons of origin stories, don't they? The founders couldn't pay rent, so they sold, what, cereal boxes?
Yeah, the novelty cereal boxes.
Wow.
And the air mattresses on the floor getting rejected by investors over and over. All those stories feed into that underdog narrative, makes them relatable.
Yeah, Ben & Jerry's does that too, right? With the $5 ice cream course they took by mail.
The correspondence course.
And their first shop in an old gas station, plus all their social activist stuff. It builds bigger picture.
Or Warby Parker. The story about the founder losing his glasses on a trip, being shocked at the cost, paired with their buy a pair, give a pair mission. It connects.
So what's the key insight here then about authenticity?
Well, Masudi argues that authenticity in storytelling isn't necessarily about being like a 100% factually accurate down to the last detail. It's more about plausible imperfection. Is the story believable? Does it feel true even if some details are, smoothed out or emphasized?
Plausible imperfection. I like that.
Yeah, because people connect with that. It feels real. It's not like, claiming aliens gave you the recipe for your kombucha brand. Masudi calls that kind of thing total bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. That definitely wouldn't work.
No. So for you listening, the action step is think about your own brand's journey. What are the different stories? Don't just share the wins. Share the mess, the struggles too.
Yeah.
Your scars can actually be your superpowers here.
Okay. Plausible imperfection. Sharing the journey. Got it. Let's move to A. Ambiguity. The power of the unknown. And this feels weird. Clarity kills curiosity. Don't brands want clarity?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But this is where it gets really interesting psychologically. A little bit of mystery, a bit of ambiguity. It actually makes people lean in.
How so?
Because when things aren't perfectly spelled out, people start to fill in the blanks themselves. They project their own meanings, their own ideas onto the brand.
And that makes them more invested.
Exactly. They become invested in their interpretation. Think about Banksy. The entire brand is built on the mystery of who they are. That ambiguity generates way more buzz than any ad campaign ever could.
That's true. Or Supreme, the streetwear brand. They're deliberately scarce. They never really explain their drop schedules.
Right. It creates this whole insider culture. Knowing the schedule, getting the drop, it feels exclusive precisely because it's ambiguous.
Even like the Tesla Cybertruck design, it was so weird, so ambiguous. People argued about it for years. Was it genius? Was it awful?
And Tesla barely had to say a word. The ambiguity fueled the conversation. So the question for, founders or marketers listening is, how much should you actually hold back? Leave a little room for interpretation.
Interesting. Okay, so ambiguity invites people in. That leads nicely into mystery, I'm guessing. Is this different from ambiguity?
It's related, but maybe more about actively maintaining gray areas, dropping hints, not revealing everything all at once.
Okay, like Apple with their product launch.
Perfect example. The secrecy isn't just about competitors. It's about building anticipation. The rumors, the leaks, the speculation.
It becomes this huge event everyone talks about.
Exactly. And every little leak, every rumor basically becomes free marketing. It's community content generated by the mystery itself.
Google does that sometimes too, right? With cryptic hints or Easter eggs for new stuff.
Or Netflix dropping those really vague trailers where you have no idea what the show is actually about, but it sparks tons of fan theories.
Yeah. Or even SpaceX. They don't always announce launch times way in advance, and space fans become like detectives trying to figure it out.
Right. It leverages that basic human curiosity. Don't give them everything up front, and you turn your audience from passive watchers into active participants trying to figure things out.
It's pretty clever.
It really is. Okay, so we've got narration, ambiguity, mystery, keeping people intrigued. But what about just fun? That's E, right?
Yeah.
Entertainment, the Trojan horse of engagement. Yes, this is crucial. Communities don't just form around product features or, mission statements. They form around shared experiences, often entertaining ones.
So it's about giving them something to rally around besides the actual product.
Precisely. Red Bull is the classic case again. The extreme sports, the flug tag events. It's pure entertainment that defines the brand way more than the drink itself. They created a whole world for people to enjoy.
Totally. Well, remember those Old Spice ads, the man your man could smell like?
Hilarious.
They turned boring deodorant ads into viral comedy. People shared them because they were funny, not because they desperately needed deodorant info.
Dollar Shave Club did something similar with that first viral video, right? Built a whole business off one super entertaining piece of content.
Yeah, even Wendy's on Twitter just roasting people. It's pure entertainment, builds this sassy personality, has almost nothing to do with burgers.
But everything to do with brand connection. Entertainment draws people in, creates positive feelings, makes them want to be part of your brand's world. It's like you said, a Trojan horse for engagement. It provides value beyond just the transaction.
Okay, so that's N.A.M.E, narration, ambiguity, mystery, entertainment. Really interesting foundation. But let's shift gears a bit. Beyond the framework itself, how do leaders actually, empower these communities?
Yeah, this is super important. Masudi talks about a leadership revolution.
Ooh, sounds dramatic.
Well, it's about a shift in mindset, moving away from the founder or the entrepreneur trying to be the big star.
The guru on stage.
Exactly. And shifting towards being more of a facilitator. You build the stage, you set the scene, but then you let the community be the star. And for anyone listening, founder, marketer, investor, the question is, how do you make that shift? How do you step back?
Can you give an example of that?
Yeah, there's a great one. Anthony Vendron from Poches Fils. They make t-shirts with custom pockets. He started with this really simple story, just friends hanging out, making stuff. He called it monetizing our nonsense. He shared everything, the struggles, finding a cheap workshop, getting friends to help out.
So not positioning himself as a fashion expert.
Not at all. He was just the guy helping others get creative with their pocket designs. And by 2021, he had over 100,000 Facebook followers, tens of thousands on Instagram, all because he facilitated the community's creativity instead of trying to be the main attraction.
That's fascinating. He built the platform for them.
Right. And research backs this up. Harvard Business Review found communities where members interact a lot with each other have way higher engagement, like 67% higher, than ones focused just on a central leader.
Wow.
So for you listening, think of this as the facilitator's playbook. Create ways for people to interact. Contests, maybe. User-generated content features. Ask questions to get them talking. Spotlight their story. Then step back. Let the conversations happen.
Step back. That's okay. What about authenticity? We touched on it with narration, but let's dig in more. The authenticity advantage, why your scars are your superpowers. In this world of perfect Instagram feeds and AI stuff, being real seems like a huge edge.
It absolutely is, but it's tricky, right? How much vulnerability is too much, especially if you're a new brand.
Yeah, you don't want to seem unprofessional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where Masoudi's idea of being consistently imperfect comes in handy. It's not about oversharing every detail of your life.
Okay.
It's about connecting your personal, like your real motivation to what your business does. Being relatable, not necessarily flawless.
Got an example?
There's Justine Houteau, founder of Respire, a French natural cosmetics brand. She didn't start by saying, I'm a chemistry genius.
Right.
She shared her personal story about a health scare involving traditional deodorants, even a benign tumor diagnosis. That vulnerability, that real experience, it gave her brand instant credibility. People connected with her story on a deep level.
Wow, that's powerful. Her vulnerability became her strength.
Totally. It built trust way faster than any ad could. So the authenticity formula for you listening is share the struggle. Admit when you mess up. Show your learning. Let people see the human journey behind the brand. They connect with that.
Okay, so build the community, lead as a facilitator, be authentic. Now, how do we get this community really fired up? Making noise, spreading the word. Let's talk rally cries, the hashtag revolution.
Right. How do you give your community a voice, a flag to rally around? A really good rallying cry, often a hashtag, can be incredibly powerful.
But it has to be more than just catch, right?
Oh, yeah. The key insight here is that the best ones are actionable. They give people a clear, easy, fun way to join in, to feel like they're contributing to something bigger.
Like Red Bull's hashtag put a can in it. That was genius. Just take a picture with a can on something.
Exactly. Simple, creative visual. It spread like crazy. Or Lululemon's hashtag the sweat life. It wasn't just about leggings. It was about a whole lifestyle. People shared their workouts, their healthy meals. It became a community identity marker.
So if you're creating one, what makes it work?
Masoudi suggests 4 things. Make it memorable. Make it meaningful, connected to your why. Make it actionable. What do you want people to do? And try to make it ownable, unique to your brand or community. Get that right, and your community starts creating content for you.
Nice. Okay, next level engagement, Mr. Gamification, goal battles, challenges, digital competition, turning participation into a game.
Yeah, this taps right into our basic human wiring, We love to compete, to achieve things, to get recognition.
So how does that work, Brand?
Well, it's amazing how simple game mechanics can explode engagement. Meaningful rewards are key, and honestly, recognition often works better than cash. Plus, social elements like leaderboards or voting.
Any examples jumped out?
The Lardu challenge on TikTok was huge. Generated something like 100,000 videos, 200 million views. Why? Because it was fun. It was a creative challenge people wanted to participate in and show off.
And it doesn't have to be a huge company either, right? Like crowdfunding.
Absolutely. Look at Zeta Sneakers. They raised, what, 270,000 alon on Ulu? They didn't just sell shoes. They gamified backing their sustainable fashion mission. People got invested in hitting the goals, being part of that success story.
So for the listeners, maybe an investor spotting potential or a founder wanting growth, what's the playbook here?
Okay, gamification playbook. Clear rules make it easy to understand. Meaningful rewards? What does your audience actually value? Social elements let people share, compete, connect, make it time-bound urgency help, and celebrate the winners publicly. Really make a fuss. It encourages everyone.
Love it. Okay, one last piece on engagement. The interaction imperative. Building bridges, not broadcast. This feels core to the whole community idea. It's not just talking at them.
Exactly. It's got to be a network, right? Conversations happening in multiple directions. Your job isn't just broadcasting. It's creating the spaces for those conversations to happen between communities.
So less megaphone, more coffee shop.
Kind of, yeah. Masoudi calls it interaction architecture, designing ways for people to connect with each other, not just with you, the brand.
Like the Red Bull events you mentioned earlier. They're physically bringing people together.
Perfect example. It's not just about watching the event. It's about the shared experience, meeting other fans, forming bonds around the brand. They're literally building bridges.
What are some other ways to build this architecture?
Oh, lots of things. Showcasing user creation. Maybe mentorship programs within the community, local chapters or meetups, collaborative projects they can work on together. Even hosting AMAs, Ask Me Anything, with experts can spark great peer-to-peer discussion. It's all about intentionally creating those connection points.
Okay, this all leads somewhere bigger, right? The ultimate goal, the multiplier effect. When communities become movements, this is where it gets really powerful, isn't it? When the community takes on a life of its own.
That's the holy grail, really. When it becomes self-sustaining, growing beyond your direct control, that's where true scale happens.
So what defines a movement versus just a strong community?
When you look at successful movements, Masoudi points out 3 key things usually emerge. First, a really strong shared identity. People feel like they're part of something special, something bigger.
Okay.
Second, often there's a common enemy or challenge something they're fighting against together. It creates unity. And third, a hopeful vision they're working toward, a shared goal, a better future. There's passion and belief there.
Like Tesla, it wasn't just about buying an EV. It felt like joining a movement against fossil fuels, right? towards a different future.
Exactly. That shared vision and common enemy galvanized people. Or Patagonia, it's not just outdoor gear. It's a movement for environmental activism. People buy the gear because it aligns with the movement they're already part of.
So the big takeaway here for, say, an investor or a founder
Is that this kind of exponential growth, this movement-level energy, it doesn't come from throwing more money at marketing. It comes from tapping into the deep passion and purpose within the community itself. That collective energy is unstoppable.
Wow, okay. We have covered a ton of ground. Ari Masudi's N.A.M.E, framework narration, ambiguity, mystery, entertainment. Then shifting leadership to facilitation. Power of real author.
Right, and the tools to get things moving, rally cries, gamification, building that interaction architecture.
It's a lot to think.
It is. But the final, so what's for you listening is,
Yeah.
this isn't just interesting theory, it's genuinely a playbook, a way to build something where your biggest fans become your best marketer, your evangelist. It's about understanding that human psychology, turning attention into real loyalty, and then into action. That's how you build something that truly lasts.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
whether you're that founder figuring out the next step, or the marketer trying to cut through, or the investor looking for genuine scale, maybe the final question to ponder is, what hidden stories, what plausible imperfections sitting there in your own journey or your brand's journey, what ambiguity or mystery could you lean into? And how might embracing that ignite the spark that turns your community into a movement that pretty much sells itself?